Hello and welcome to Her Moment in History, the second episode.
Yeah, I'm Grace Cooper.
I'm Michelle Hassall.
And this week because we came up with a theme that we thought we'd do a theme, so we kind of didn't have the broad scope of every single woman in history to look at. So we were doing queer women this week. I hope so, because that's what I've researched.
Same.
So, yeah. You going to go first? So I went first last time.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to go first this time. Okay.
Okay.
So, who is your woman from history?
She is Edith Craig.
Right.
Which she was a prolific theatre director, producer, costume designer, and early pioneer of the women's suffrage movement.
Ooh, I like the sound of this.
I know. She's the daughter of actress Ellen Terry, who was very big at the time, like 1800s.
Oh, wow.
And she had a very famous family, actually. So her dad, I think, was a architect designer who was Edward William Godwin. But I want to believe that he's descended from, Mary Shelley's original was Godwin.
Yeah.
So I want to believe that. So I'm going to.
There's somehow a link.
Yep.
Were they even around the same time?
But I'm sure there's 100 years difference. I mean,
enough for an ancestral link.
Yeah. I mean, she had a brother, probably.
Okay, fair enough.
And then she was the sister of theatre practitioner Edward Gordon Craig.
Wow, so kept it in the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's the brother he had a child that I can't remember the name of, but it was going that. Nope. Right, yeah, so he had a child that...
The brother had a child?
Yes. And there is significance. Because... it was Alan Gordon who he had. And she died, when she was 1, I think. And then they had another child the same year that she died, which they then called Alan Gordon.
Ellen?
Yeah.
All right.
As in, the same name as the one that had died.
Oh.
Which, that happened to Picasso too. Which...
Really? What, he had a...
Yeah, his brother was, I'm sure he was 4 when he died. And then...
So they changed his name?
No, he was born after the brother had died, okay. So they just called him the same name. But obviously he grew up where his parents were mourning the loss of this other Pablo Picasso with little pictures of him everywhere. So it's kind of a theory that he's so, wants the attention and eccentric and stuff. Because of that, because he had to fight for his own identity away from his dead brother, which is very
weird choice to name.
I know.
I don't know. Aquarium also erases the first child.
Yeah, or replaces them.
Yeah. That's
why I brought it up.
Fair enough. Yep.
So her and her brother were illegitimate. So her last name wasn't technically Craig. So, they give them that name to stop the bad stigma of them being illegitimate.
That makes sense.
Yes. And then she originally wanted to be a pianist, and she studied in Berlin for a while.
Where was she born?
Oh, England. I forgot about that. Yes. But she had arthritis, I think.
In
her hands or rheumatism. I've read 2 where one said rheumatism, one said arthritis. So
both very painful.
Yeah, so that stopped her from
to be a pianist. Yeah.
So then she went into the theatre like her mother, but also she had a teacher who was called Elizabeth Malleson, who I looked into, and she's very interesting. She was an English educationalist, suffragist, and activist for women's education and rural nursing. It's so I'm sure there's influences from her.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yes. So then Craig joined the Lyceum Theatre, where her mother worked.
Is that here in UK?
I think so. She was a costume designer and actress, but then she toured America for a while in 1895 and 1907, and her stage name was, I'm not sure it's Elisa, something like that, Craig. But she had to change it because someone else had a similar name.
Really?
Another actress.
I mean, it's so hard to pronounce and someone else had it too.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot easier when you know how it's pronounced properly.
How's it spelled?
A-I-L-S-A.
A-I, what? A?
I-L-S-A.
Oh, yeah, I don't. Ailsa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was noted for expertise in historically accurate costumes, which gave her, like, she gained a lot of recognition for that.
Wicked.
So her brother also was in the theatre at this time, and he appeared with Henry Irving, who was a famous actor of the time, and she joined him. And they were in a play called The Bells in 1895. Never heard of it.
Me either. I felt like it's like before, in terms of my acting, this is like before my scope of knowledge.
I don't know much about like theatre history. So, the George Bernard Shaw was a family friend of the Craigs, and he wrote a lot of roles that were specifically for her.
Aww.
So there's one of his plays called Candida. Candida? I'm going to go as Candida. And it's believed that the role of Prosy was created for Craig, who she played the role. And she acted in plays by Henry Ibsen.
Oh, wow.
And toured with Mrs. Brown Potter.
Mrs. Brown Potter is?
She's another interesting person who I think could have an episode of the pod. And independent theatre. That's nice. Irving employed her to make costumes for his production of Robespierre, which led her to go into a business as a dressmaker, which was called Edith Craig & Co., which was in Covent Garden until 1903.
Wow!
I know.
Aww.
I know, I feel so proud.
I wonder what's that like, because I assume like all the buildings in Covent Garden are still the skeleton, what used to be there. So I imagine that what used to be, is it Edith?
Edith Craig, yeah.
Craig & Co. is still a building, but they just called something different, I assume.
I hope it has a blue plaque.
Yeah.
If not, I'm going to contact them.
You're going to specifically go make your own blue plaque.
I'm sticking this on this building.
Stick it.
Don't know if it's the right one.
Just pick a nice one that looks really pretty.
Yeah, she was here. I can sense it.
Yeah. The spirit is contacting me.
So in 1899, her mother purchased an old farm at Small Heath, which had 3 houses. This is significant.
I just want to know about his farm. It sounds.
Oh, like she invited Edith to live in one of the houses, the priest's house specifically, which was.
Is that bit important?
No.
Okay.
It was about 100 yards up the hill.
Okay.
Which she shared with her female friends, also her lovers. Claire quotes Tony Atwood, who was an artist, and then Chris St. John, who was a writer.
So she was sharing with Tony and Claire? No, Tony and Chris.
Yes.
Okay.
And they were in a menage a trois relationship. And then there's some stuff like they don't know whether she was a lesbian or bisexual, but I don't think that matters.
I mean, not at the time. I can't imagine it was just like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like the identity of it wasn't a thing then.
No, I don't think the actual term bisexuality was coined until quite late in the 20th century. But
disappointing.
That might just be a complete guess.
So all 3 women were active in the suffrage movement, and they had a lot of other people who came to their home a lot. to talk about stuff, and they were part of a literary community.
Oh, I had a book club.
That included Virginia Woolf.
Wicked.
And Vita Sutcliffe West.
Yeah.
And it says, I'm quoting, controversial lesbian author Radcliffe Hall.
Ooh.
Radcliffe's such a weird name.
Yeah, I only associate it with the place.
Or Daniel.
Daniel Radcliffe. And then the picture of Daniel's face on a cliff. Have you not seen it? It's like Daniel Radcliffe, and it's like Daniel Radcliffe's face photoshopped on a cliff, and he's like really excited. And then the one says like Daniel not Radcliffe, it's just a normal cliff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're amazing sometimes. Oh, and then in 1903, she was proposed to by the composer Martin Shaw. But she did accept, but the marriage was prevented by her mother out of jealousy for a daughter's affection.
Wait.
And also,
what?
I know, it's very weird. And then also by Christabel Marshall, who wrote under the pseudonym Christopher St. John, who she lives with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they lived together. Oh wait, it says they lived from 1899 until they were joined. Oh, right. Joined by someone else. Never mind. They were joined by...
Oh, just what, like medically? They were just
I was just
together?
like, don't think they did, like, what is it? It's not civil. Is it civil ceremony?
Yeah.
I doubt that was a thing then.
Maybe.
In 1916?
Do you want to look it up?
I mean, it's talking about, like, she was joined by Claire Tony Atwood.
Okay.
That's what, and then they lived together until when she died in 1947.
Wow, a long time.
And her family were not approving of her lifestyle, and her...
Can't imagine why.
I know. And her brother said that Edith's sexuality was a result of her hatred of men initiated by a hatred of her father.
I feel like that kind of a scapegoat reason almost is like used now as well. A lot of people will say like, no, it's because daddy issues.
Yes. So when her mother left the Lyceum Theatre, she went into management.
That's a shift.
I think it's like theatre management, but it doesn't. Which Craig joined her for. Edith Craig, obviously. And she then became like, she started doing play productions, and then that became like her main occupation, was like producing.
Oh, so like behind the scenes. I got a lot of like people, actors and things, when they don't want to act anymore, then just become like producers.
I mean, because I've noticed a lot throughout, her mother was a very key figure in her life.
She seemed to like, obviously like got her into it, and then when she left, she followed her, and
and then she lived
very
close to her mother. So her mother must have been in some way accepting of her lifestyle, because she can't be that naive to not know.
You might be surprised.
I know, or maybe because she did have a lot of affairs in her life. Ellen Terry did. Her mother. So maybe she was open-minded. Who knew? Who knows?
Whatever. Yeah. Oh, okay. Women, fine. Yeah, sure.
And then she founded the Pioneer Players, which was from 1911 to 1925, which is a theatre society based in London, which they were known for producing formerly banned plays on social humanism, women's suffrage, and feminism, and foreign plays in English.
Well, we're going to have to shut this down.
I know.
Are they still like, they would have been, I assume, written down as...
Yeah, I think.
Are they accessible anywhere?
I have no idea.
I feel like I'm gonna have to...
There is one that I'm going to talk about in a bit.
Okay.
That is interesting.
I eagerly wait.
Her mother was the president of the society. She was the director and stage director. Her partner was the secretary. And
all very close-knit.
I know. And the advisory committee included George Bernard Shaw and the president, Gabrielle Enthoven. Which, the way they say the president is... I just assume the wrong president kind of thing. Not like the American president, but like... I guess it's the president of the company. I'm just like thinking the president of France because they sound French.
What? Okay.
So yeah, so the Pioneer Place is described as a women's theatre company, which increased women's opportunities in theatre, and Craig produced about 150 plays while she was there.
Whoa.
Which is very nice.
That's a lot.
I know. But it did close in 1925, when then she moved on to produce some plays for the Little Theatre movement.
I don't know
which it was in like York and Leeds and Letchworth and Hampstead.
Okay.
Which is where, because I've done some work in the archives about her, and this is where this is what I was looking at, because we were doing for a exhibition of women in York. So she was briefly in York, and she was
You've lost your train of thought, haven't you?
She was the mystery plays in York were a big thing in the 50s, I think.
The mystery plays?
Yes.
What are they?
I don't really know, but the way that they were presented in the archives were like it was a big thing.
Okay.
So she was considered to be like the start, like what she did then influenced that. And she did like, her performances were very good, and her productions were very good and stuff. And she was like part of the British Drama League, which was formed to promote amateur theatre, and she was the judge of some of these things, which I found a document about some things she judged, which is really interesting.
Was this at the York Theatre Royal, or was it at the... I forget the name of the other one, was it the Opera?
Or the Opera House. I think it was another one that is no longer here that I do not remember the name of.
Oh, that's sad.
No, and the Drama League was there to encourage lasting peace after World War One. I know.
That didn't work, did it? No. I always find when they're like, we tried to do this to make sure that, you know, morale was high, and that we tried to recover after the First World War, and just in the back of my mind all the time I'm like, honey, you've got a big storm coming.
So then in 1929, her mother died, which was a very sad time for her, I'm sure. And so she converted the Elizabethan barn adjacent to her Ellen Terry's house at the Small Hythe Place barn into a theatre which she named the Barn Theatre. And here she produced Shakespeare plays every year to commemorate the anniversary of her mother's death. I know.
It might have been happier to do her mother's like on a birthday, but I guess death is also, you know, a notable date.
She also was in some silent films.
Of course.
Yeah, because I like them.
Yeah.
She didn't think she did anything too notable. There's one film called Fires of Fate, which I've never heard of, from 1923. And then she became involved in suffrage movements, which I read something and they said that she didn't fully understand the suffrage movement, but she was just like very eagerly into it, which I don't think is... You can never know that, but that seems like a thing you can't say.
Yeah, like a broad statement.
Yeah.
So she was like she got really into it in 1923.
Oh, I'm not sure when. There's no date, it's just how my notes are
Fair enough.
So,
It's like 1923 seems quite late to...
Well, that was when she did a silent film.
Ah, I see. I got them mixed up.
But, yeah, it was a bit out of order. Oh well. And she started doing that after she met a woman selling newspapers for the women's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
She became a member and worked at the branch for the group. She stated that she grew up quite firmly certain that no self-respecting woman could be other than a suffragist.
Yeah, go for it.
And she used her theatrical experience, and she was involved in various suffrage productions. I'm guessing it was before because...
Yeah, this is all for the fight for women's like liberation. Well, not, but like the vote. Then that would have been before.
And here one of the plays that I can talk about that she did. So she directed one called A Pageant of Great Women, which
That's a great name.
She devised with the writer and actor Cicely Hamilton, and it was performed across the UK to large audiences, which is nice. But then her other play, which I think is much more interesting, is called A Pageant, but I was struggling to find enough evidence of this to find it specifically. But it followed the concept of a morality play, which the main character is called Woman. And then she's confronted by the antagonist, Prejudice, who believes that men and women are not equal. And then the character, Justice, presides over the debate between Prejudice and Woman as groups of great women process on stage as evidence of women's achievements in art, government, education, spiritual matters and battles.
Okay. I'm on board, I like it.
Yeah. I mean, for the time, it's great.
Yeah. I mean, even like, I feel that's like a thing now that people do, if you know what I mean, the idea that in order to prove that women can do this, it's like, here's an example of great women.
And she obviously made sure that the costumes were historically accurate.
Of course.
And she often played the role of Rosa Bonheur, a lesbian artist, in it. So that's nice. And then during her later life, she had many arguments with her brother because she was publishing books about her mother regarding George Bernard Shaw, because I think they might have had an affair or something like that. And he didn't want that kind of information going out to the public, but she published her works. So he wrote responding books saying that didn't happen, and so she wrote responding books to that, and it was like a whole thing. But then like they eventually like made up before she died. So that's kind of nice.
Can you imagine having to like have all those books on your shelf and having to organise them in terms of so that one's first, and then that one's that, and then having to go across and just be like, no, you can't organise it by author because they're in response to one another.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. It's like if you read one and then you read the other and they completely just deny each other.
Yeah. Can you imagine starting at like book number 12 or something like that? Just like, as regards to book number 4, and you're like, I haven't read book number 4.
And it also says she adopted Ruby Shelter Grey, which
I assume is a name of a child.
I'm assuming that too. But then I couldn't find any more information about that. So it's very limited on women at this time. It's so sad. And then also on the death of her mother, because she was trying to preserve her mother's legacy with the farm, she opened it up to the public.
Oh, cool.
And then from 1939, she was supported by the National Trust in running it.
Oh, wow.
And on her death, she left it to the National Trust.
Is it still there?
I'm guessing it must be. I didn't check. It's in Kent.
In Kent, what's it called? The Small Heath Farm.
Yes, Hythe for Heath.
I can't find it.
Ythe.
Oh, I thought Heath was spelled differently.
I don't know if it's pronounced Heath. Could be
It
Hythe.
might not be. Oh, it is.
Yeah?
Small Heath Place.
Oh.
If that is how it's pronounced.
You'd hope so if she left it to them.
I know, sometimes I don't trust that it's
No.
still there. Yeah.
Do you know Beatrice Potter helped create the National Trust?
I feel like I've briefly read that somewhere, but I don't know a lot about it.
Yeah, because she bought a lot of the Lake District, I think.
Yes.
And she gave a lot of the stuff to the National Trust. Because she stopped them building all over it, all the nice scenery and stuff.
And it's still like protected land, isn't it, by the National Trust?
Yeah.
Which is good because otherwise, imagine it wouldn't be there still.
I know. Oh, women are so great. And when she did die, Edith Craig, she died of a coronary thrombosis and chronic myocarditis.
Now, on my limited knowledge of what that means,
I'm guessing heart attack.
Yeah. There's a lot of cardio
Yes.
mentioned in that, so I'd assume.
And that was on the 27th of March, 1947, at Priest's house in Small Heath Place.
Oh.
And it was while planning the Shakespeare Festival in honour of her mother. And then her body was cremated, which is significant.
Do tell me why.
Because, so the two women she lived with, they're buried alongside each other at St. John the Baptist Church in Small Heath.
Yes.
But, and Craig's ashes were meant to be there, but someone lost them.
They lost them?
Yes. They says the ashes got lost. So there's just like a little memorial next to him, which is not great, but...
Well, I mean, that kind of happened to my dad.
Did it?
But yeah, his ashes are split.
Oh.
And then I don't know what happened. I know one half went off with his partner, and then the other half, I don't know where they are.
That's strange.
I know. So it's nice that I can like tell people in a different place all the time. Rather than just say that like, oh, I'm just recreating what happened to Edith Craig.
Yeah. And also in the later years, which, it's relevant this after. After her mum died, because she couldn't write because of her arthritis. A friend, Vera Home, who was known as Jacko. Don't know why.
Yeah.
She dictated her memoirs to her friend, Vera.
Yeah.
Who wrote them all down, and they were lost in an attic.
What?
For decades. And then they got sold to Anne Rachlin in 1978. And this is where a lot of the information we now know about her came from.
Oh, from those memoirs?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it was eventually published in 2011 called Edie Was a Lady. Because her nickname as a child was Edie.
Yeah, because I'm on the Small Heath Hythe museum website. And it keeps saying Edie in it. And I've seen somewhere, but I cannot find it since. They call her mum Ellen Dame.
Oh, yeah, I think she's Dame Ellen Terry. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Which, blimey.
I know.
There was also mentioning, sorry, I kind of stepped on your toes with this
No.
They kind of mention the library in it, because of course I got distracted by that bit. So her books were originally just kept in piles, distributed around the house, and then they had to be like brought together and put in the library.
Wow. Final thing, Virginia Woolf is said to have used Edith Craig as a model for one of her characters in her novel Between the Acts. Miss Latrobe.
Oh wow!
It's based on her. Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
That's really cute.
And that is Edith Craig.
Very good. I like that one.
I had fun.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, you had a lot from when you were working in the archives, so I can imagine it was quite a throwback.
I know. I mean, most of the archives is like you're searching for something, but you can be searching for so much. And I kept seeing Edith Craig come up a lot, so I'm like, she must be significant.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look her up, and I was like, oh, amazing.
That was why when we've spoken about maybe doing like the queer women one, and you were like automatically you were like, I think I know who I'm gonna do, and I was like, well, that's really quick. Wow. And I did look up as well civil ceremonies because I wanted to see. So that actually it says that they've been around since 1855.
What?
Yeah.
Even though it was illegal.
Not like for same-sex couples, I can't imagine.
Oh.
But like a civil ceremony has been around since then. Though you did used to have things such as like a Boston marriage.
What is that?
Right. I'm not 100% sure, but you know that it's like being made into TV, and it's like Gentleman Jack, and it's about it used to be like a wedding that would happen between women that wasn't like an actual wedding by today's standards. But yeah, so it says here a Boston marriage was a relationship between two women that involved both physical and emotional intimacy.
Ooh. I was thinking of Outlander because they are. There's a word they use where they say that they're like, I think it's hand fast. So like it's like a mini wedding, but it's not actually a legal wedding because there's no priest present. But it's still classed as a wedding for a year after.
Why a year?
No idea.
Do you have to do something after a year? Like,
I mean, well, her husband to be was, this mild spoilers, kidnapped by some Native Americans.
Wait, I thought it was all set in Scotland.
Oh no, it goes across to America.
Wow.
No, it goes to France as well.
What the hell? I've literally only watched the first episode of this, so.
I know. Which, yeah, it goes all over.
Yeah. There you go. So no, I like that one. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Okay. I reckon you're definitely going to have heard of the person that I've done. Because I was really worried that you actually have the same person. When and when I was halfway through writing this, I was thinking, you understand the area a bit more than I do, but we'll see. So I'm doing Frida Kahlo.
Oh, I was thinking about that I could do her at one point. I was like, okay.
Because actually, I couldn't think, because I was like trying to think of like women in history, and I really couldn't think until, because I have obviously the badge on my coat of Frida Kahlo, and someone then, I think it was like Chloe had said to me, she was like, oh, are you going to do her? And I was like, that is such an obvious choice that I just didn't think of. So yeah, that is who I'm doing. So, born on the 6th of July, 1907.
Is she from Mexico?
Yes, Mexico City.
Okay.
I'm sorry. And I'm going to try and now pronounce her full name. So here we go. Her name was Magdalena Carmen Frida Kahlo y Calderon.
Wow.
I know. So, real name. But that's, I think the way like Spanish names work is that you have like,
they just keep going.
For like 2 first names, a middle name, and then both your parents' last names.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just Frida Kahlo.
I like that she didn't take her husband's name. She kept her own.
She kind of.
Because Kahlo was hers.
Yeah, but it might be a wild assumption to say I don't think Spanish people do that.
Don't they?
Because you have both your parents' names. I think that's just
so patriotic.
What, in this country?
Oh
yeah,
wait,
massively.
Patriotic's the wrong word, isn't it?
Patriarchy.
Patriarchis.
Patriarchal.
Patriarchal.
That's right.
We're English students.
Yeah. So yeah, she was born in Mexico City. and she was born at her family home, which is called La Casa Azul, so the Blue House, or the Blue Home? No, the Blue House. Maybe both. Her parents were photographer Guillermo, Kahlo, and her mother was called Matilda Calderon y Gonzalez. So yeah, she had her dad's surname Kahlo and her mum's surname Calderon.
Okay.
Yeah. And her dad was a German migrant, so she was actually like second generation like German migrant. And her mum was, I have this written somewhere in my notes, but I can't find it right now. So her mum was, I think, there's like a specific word for, she was half like native Mexican and then half like Spanish kind of ancestry.
Yeah. Did you say when she was born?
1907.
Okay, sorry, I missed that bit.
Sorry. She had 4 sisters. So 2 half sisters from her dad from before
previous marriage,
yeah. But they were raised in a convent, so I don't know how much Frida had to do with them. And then she had like 2 full sisters from her mum and her dad. She described her childhood as very, very sad.
Aww.
Yeah. Both her parents were like often really sick, and they didn't love each other. So I can imagine that was not a great kind of atmosphere. And
have you seen the film
Frida?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's
and I really wish, because like the last few days you've like mentioned, because you mentioned something to do with like Harvey Weinstein, I think, and because I was reading through the Frida like information page on IMDb, and I was like, oh, there's like facts to do with it, but I can't just keep mentioning information I know about Frida Kahlo, because you're going to realise that I've been researching her really recently. There was something else you mentioned as well. Oh, actually, I remember what it was, but it comes in later.
Ooh, okay.
She said that her relationship with her mother was tense, and her dad's business. He was did I mention he was a photographer? Yeah. Business suffered during the Russian Revolution because he was working for and with the overthrown government. So.
In Mexico.
For
Russia.
The Mexican Revolution. Did I say Russian Revolution?
You did.
Damn it, the Mexican Revolution.
Well, I'm sure she was involved a little bit with the Russians.
Yes, she was, because she was she was a communist, so yeah.
Not a bad person.
Not a bad person.
No.
When she was 6, she got polio, which made her right leg shorter and thinner than the left. I don't know much about polio, so I don't know how. Is it like malnourishment?
I have no idea. Aren't we immune though, because we have the vaccines in school?
Yes, if you have the vaccine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we should get into that.
Yeah. And because like she was ill when she was a kid, she was isolated, and so then she also got like bullied for that. The experience made her an introvert, and also made her dad's favourite. She credited him for making her childhood marvellous and understanding all of her problems. So like a really good relationship with her dad. So like in yours, like how it said like, oh, she was obviously into women because of her terrible relationship with her dad. I think this one proves that doesn't necessarily mean that. He taught her all about literature and nature and philosophy, and was like used to be insistent that like she was into sports and things like that, even though at the time it was really frowned upon that like girls would play sports.
That's good. I don't know why, but I always thought of her dad as being like I don't want to say capitalist, that's not the right word, but like strict and traditional is the right word. But like I didn't know he was a photographer, so it threw me a bit.
So like he's like that's like artist kind of, I assume, like roots from him, which is not usually you associate it with like being from the mother, because of like nurturing. But she went to school late, and so she actually ended up going to school with her younger sister, who was called Christina, and that was then, so they went in primary school, and she was homeschooled for then 5th and 6th grade. They went to a German school, originally, but she was expelled for disobedience, and so she was sent elsewhere.
Oh, wow.
I know, a right rebel.
Does it say what she did?
It doesn't. I think it said that she was like very outspoken, which makes sense.
Yeah.
That's good. And then she was sent somewhere else, but then had to leave there as well because she was sexually abused by one of the female teachers.
Oh.
Yeah. So then she trained to be a doctor.
Wow.
I know, and she was like really, really good at it.
Oh.
So she was doing very, very well. And while she was like training to be a doctor, she became really like involved in like Mexican culture and learned lots about it, and so also became a political activist and interested in issues on social justice. So basically like what most people go to college and do. Yeah. The school promoted a new Mexican identity, which I'm going to completely butcher this word. I think it's called indigenemo. So it's like taking like pride in the indigenous culture rather than just like the colonialist culture, which it had a lot of before. And she was also part of a student group which called themselves the Cachuchas. Which a lot of whom were actually like would become like a Mexican elite. And they were rebellious, kind of ragtag team, dedicated to Russian classics. And because she was older than everybody else, because she'd gone to school so late, she actually used to just tell people that she was born 3 years after in 1910, which was when the Russian Revolution began. So she used to call herself a daughter of the Russian Revolution. I keep saying that.
I know,
the Mexican Revolution.
Because I keep being like, she's really like well-rounded because she knows all about Germany and Russia and like.
No.
When you said Russian literature, was that right?
Yes, that was right. The Russian classics was right. The Mexican Revolution, though.
Right.
Not the
Okay.
Okay. She was always into art, though, which I assume is to do with her dad.
Must be.
Been so into it as well. And when she was 18, so in 1925, she did work outside of school as a stenographer.
Ooh.
I was really hoping you would know that what that was.
I'm guessing it's something to do with photography.
I assume so.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting though that she went into painting with her dad being a photographer, because like at the start photography sort of took over painting, and which made painting become more like abstract and modernist and all stuff like that. But
I assume that's why, because like obviously her paintings were quite modern and
that's
kind
true.
of abstract.
Yeah.
That she kind of took that from the fact that photography was still, if you know what I mean, that it was what it was.
But she is surrealist.
Yes.
Oh, I love this.
That's what I'm saying. This is more your because you know more about art than I do. So in September of 1925, she and her boyfriend Alejandro, who was also part of the group that she was in called the Cachuchas, collided with a streetcar. So they were on a bus and a streetcar collided with them.
I remember when I saw that in the film, I didn't know that happened.
Did
so it threw me. I was like, did she die? Like, did she do all of this before?
Before she was 18?
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is a short film.
And then because of it, her ribs, her legs and her collarbone were fractured. One of the iron handrails also went through her pelvis.
Oh.
Yeah. There's some like, I think later on people wrote that it went through her vagina, and like loads of people were like, that's not true.
No.
So it was her pelvis.
Does that mean she couldn't have kids? Or
no, she could.
Did she?
Well, she didn't.
No.
Which I will come to.
Okay.
But she could get pregnant.
Interesting.
She spent a month in hospital and 2 months then at home recovering from this. And like after having recovered, in quotes, she was still in pain. So they went back to the hospital and they found out actually she had 3 displaced vertebrae. Oh. Which I don't know how they missed the first time.
I mean, They weren't as technically advanced.
No, I suppose it was just like, oh, it's really obvious that these things are broken, so we'll fix those. But yeah, she had 3 displaced vertebrae, which means she had to wear a plaster corset.
Oh, yeah.
Which confined
some of her paintings are about it, aren't they?
Because she had to be in bed for 3 months whilst they healed. And so her bed, she had it specifically, like an easel specifically made so that she could paint in bed, and a mirror above her bed so that she could see herself.
That's quite cool.
But that obviously ended her dreams of being a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, because...
What a different world that would have been.
I know. Because they're quite... I mean, a doctor is very, like, cut and dry. I mean, there is an area of, like, creativity to it and things like that, but...
It's more... You see it as more, like, straight cut. It's just, like, this is the process. You do it like that.
And like...
Art's obviously just, like... You can kind of do anything.
Yeah. But no, yeah. So...
Did you see in... Oh, you haven't seen Velvet Buzzsaw, have you?
Not yet, no.
There's like a bit in it where there's like some rubbish bags on the floor, and I think it's John Malkovich's character. No, he's the artist, and then the other guy is like, "Oh, it's magnificent," and he's it's just trash.
Oh.
And I found it kind of funny, and my dad was like, "Yeah, it's a critique of modern art," and I'm like,
Well, they did really recently. This guy, I think it was on Twitter, I saw it, that he'd put his glasses on the floor and then just like stepped back and was looking at them, and like loads of people around were like stood around looking at his like glasses on the floor, and like, oh, look at this piece.
Nice.
So after the accident, she said that she found herself again, and during this time, her paintings were mainly of herself, her sisters, and her school friends. So in 1927, she was out of bed. She was back at uni. It doesn't say what she was studying though, which would have been. I mean, I don't know how like Mexican universities work.
Yeah.
So there might have just been like a broad university education. But if she like no longer had dreams of being a doctor, then I wonder what she was like focusing on.
I know the film is probably not going to be accurate in every sense of her life, but I remember in the film she like takes her paintings to, I don't know if it's an artist at the university or just an artist in general, but I remember her doing that.
I mean, I think you can take art classes, like if so, because I know like in the American system, you take a lot of different subjects and then you major in one. So I assume it was like that. So she took arts there.
And my husband. Okay, sorry.
That's literally the next sentence. She joined the Mexican Communist Party and there met Diego Rivera.
Nice.
He was a famous Mexican artist and party member at the time. He was instantly impressed by her works and they began a relationship. And then the catch, he was 20 years older than her and had been married twice. Yeah. They had a civil ceremony in 1929.
A civil ceremony? Not
literally, that's what it was, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. On August 21st, her mother was not happy about it though. Because I think of all the issues like about how much older than her he was and everything. But her dad was like really happy about the fact she was married him. And it said like one of the main reasons why he was happy was because obviously Rivera was like a famous artist, and so he could pay for Kahlo's medical treatment. Which I mean, even if that's like it's fine, he can pay. It's weird. Fair enough.
Strange.
Yeah, and then the relationships in the papers, it was like a massive thing. They moved to Morelos, I think it's pronounced, for work. So they like the early part of their kind of relationship together.
Are we at 30s now?
Yes.
Okay.
The early part of their relationship, they moved around a lot because Rivera would like get commissioned to do murals and artwork and things like that, and she just kind of went with him then. So they moved there, and during so they moved there, which during the Civil War had seen like some of the most heavy fighting.
Oh.
So Kahlo said that it's strengthened her sense of Mexican identity and history.
I didn't know Mexico had a Civil War.
Yes.
I feel so bad that like we just don't learn about other countries.
I know.
But like, I think it's the same in a lot of countries as well, though, that they only sort of learn about their own country, and then like obviously major stuff like American independence and all that. But I mean, there's a lot of history to learn, but it's just an issue.
Yeah, you hope that there'd be a broad scope.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mexican Revolution, also known as the Mexican Civil War, lasted from 1910 to 1920
Oh wow.
and radically transformed Mexican culture and government. So that's a little brief of what this is on Google. She started drawing, taking her inspiration from Mexican folk art.
Oh.
And like many Mexican artists and intellectualists at the time, she began wearing traditional indigenous Mexican peasant clothing. I'm going to pronounce all of these words wrong. So she used to wear lots of colourful skirts. I think it's pronounced hipils.
No idea.
Yeah. Which were like these like tops. I looked up some pictures, but I realised that like won't help. She looked up. She was like tops basically, and rebazos, which were like ponchos, effectively.
Oh, I like them.
And a lot of elaborate headdresses, and she like wore lots of masses of jewellery.
Okay.
She said this allowed her to express her feminist and anti-colonialist ideals, which covered the signs of polio and surgery, and also appealed to Rivera. So win, 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 really.
Yeah.
And then in the 1930s, they then moved to San Francisco in America.
Yes.
So that Diego could paint murals for clubs and schools. Kahlo was introduced to many American artists and likely began her affair with Nicholas Murray at the time.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, it was like a lasting thing that she like was seeing him even when she was.
Wait, did they have like a polyamorous kind of relationship?
I don't think so.
But they just cheated on each
Oh,
other?
both of them cheated on one another like a hell of a lot. And like they both knew that the other cheated on them.
It's sort of like polyamory, but not explicitly.
Yeah, like an open relationship, but I don't think they were happy about it.
No.
Which is, I mean, yeah, that's, yeah.
I mean, at least they both cheat on each other. It's fair.
Yes, yeah. She was painting loads and further developing her style, and also participated in an exhibition that was called the Frida and Diego Rivera.
Nice.
So just took away her surname. Oh, and interestingly, I don't know if I actually put this in my notes, but so her name when she was born was spelt differently. So it was spelt with an E after the I, so Frida, but like just spelled differently. But Frida, yeah. She took out the E because she really heavily associated it with German spellings. Obviously, at the time, like Germany was obviously like the First and Second World Wars, which were coming up.
Yeah, she lived through both World Wars.
I know.
Crazy.
And the Mexican Revolution.
Yeah.
And the Russian Revolution.
Yeah. What a lifetime.
I know. Though publicly, she presented herself as just Diego's wife.
That's quite sad.
No. When they returned to Mexico in the summer of 1931, they weren't there for very long. They were only there for like a year. And then they returned for the summer, and then in the autumn, they then went to New York for an opening of Rivera's retrospective in the MoMA. And then in 1932, they went to Detroit, where he was then painting more murals for the Institute of Art. And then Kahlo at this time was now interacting with the press more, and even like publicly stating that she was the better artist of the two of them, which, go for it, honestly.
I know, yeah.
She said she disliked US society though, because she found it like really capitalistic, and she found Americans really boring. And so this is like the 30s, like,
yeah,
it was massively capitalistic at the time.
I know. Oh, and that's just like after the depression
Yeah.
time as well.
So I suppose a lot of money tension in America at the time. She got angry because there were hotels that refused Jewish guests, and she was also pregnant at this time.
Oh.
So she went to a doctor, and he agreed to perform an abortion,
Okay.
but it didn't work.
Oh.
So she was like, I guess I'll just... I don't think she ever wanted kids, if you know what I mean. I think she was just very ambivalent towards it. So she decided to continue with the pregnancy because the abortion hadn't worked, but then miscarried anyway in July. But that caused a hemorrhage, and so she was hospitalised. And then 3 months later, her mother died. So there's a lot going on at this period of time. So it's not kind of a surprise she really hated that period. So she hated Detroit, but she did say that it was greatly beneficial for her art because she gained narrative.
Okay. I mean, at least she got something.
I know, she deserves something. They then moved back to New York in 1933. So they could do another painting, but he also got fired from doing that painting because he painted...
I heard about this.
Have you heard this? He painted Lennon in it.
Yes, he did.
And then refused to change it. So he wanted to stay in the US, but Frida wanted to move home. So she was like, I'm moving home, so they moved back to Mexico. She didn't do any new paintings in 1934, and only did 2 in 1935. So, she had an appendectomy, 2 abortions, and toes amputated in that time as well.
Just for fun?
No. Yeah, all of it because she was like for shits and gigs. No. So the toes got amputated because she had gangrene in the toes. I know. And you know how I said that a few nights ago, because I've been researching this, and then I'd had a really terrible night's sleep, and I woke up in a fit of panic. It was for Frida Kahlo. For some reason, I woke up in a fit of panic that she was about to get her toes amputated. Oh, no. And then I was like, I don't need to panic. It happened. It happened in 1935. It's fine now. Yeah. Diego was also not happy at the time because they'd moved back to Mexico and he didn't want to, and so he blamed Frida for this. And he was now sleeping with her younger sister, so he was sleeping with Christina.
Yes. You know the house they have in the film?
Yeah.
Was that real? Do you know? Because it had a bridge that conjoined the 2 houses.
That's later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers.
That's right. That caused Kahlo to move out from living with him and had an affair with an American artist. A lot of names of artists are mentioned in the researching of this, but I don't know a lot about artists.
Okay.
So I didn't put any names in.
Okay.
Because I didn't know them. But you're probably thinking, God damn it, because you would have known who they were.
I mean, I kind of want to know now.
Yeah. It's all on Wikipedia, it's fun. Later in the year, however, she did reconcile with both Christina and Rivera and then moved back into... So the house was called It says Angel, but I assume it's not pronounced Angel. I suppose it's not Angel or something like that. Which was this massive, expensive house that they both had. And she then moved back into there. I don't think she and Diego were as close then. I think they just kind of lived together at that point. And she became a loving aunt to Christina's children. She joined the 4th International...
Were they Diego's children?
It didn't say.
Oh, okay.
I did wonder. I don't think so, because that all happened in the space of a year. But Christina had 2 kids, and they were quite older, so I don't think so. I think it must have been from her actual partner. Are you looking up who these artists are?
Yes.
Yeah. She joined.
Oh, Trotsky.
Oh, I'm about to get to that.
Sorry.
Don't read it. She also joined the 4th International, providing aid to Republicans in the Spanish Civil War, and Rivera also gave Trotsky and his wife asylum in 1939, and she and Trotsky had an affair.
Amazing. I've just been reading Trotsky.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, because you've been reading Trotsky recently.
Yeah.
But I've been so dying to tell you, he had an affair with Frida Kahlo.
Oh, he just gets better.
I know. Between 1937 and 1938, she painted more than all of her 8 years of marriage. She also made her first significant sale. So she sold to a collector who bought 4 of her paintings for $200 each. I don't know.
But they're millions now.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know, because obviously this was 1938. So money was different anyway. Not only that, but it was that Mexican dollars. So I don't know if that would have made a difference. And also like $200.
I know it's not a lot of money. I don't think for that.
Can you imagine buying it for $200?
I know. You could do that today-ish. But like,
it wouldn't be like her most.
No, I mean like early artists starting out. But then it's like you never know if they're gonna hit the big spot.
Yeah, because there's an art gallery near where I live in Nottingham, where they have like early artists come and do their work. And like looking at the price, I'm like, God, that's a lot of work, a lot of money. But then I'm like, actually, if they're like getting big, then it's actually like nothing in comparison to how much art goes for.
I know.
Which is
ridiculous.
Yeah. Did
you get to the bit in 1004 where the book by Ben Lerner?
Yeah. So it's cite your resources.
Yes. There's a bit in it where it's about art that's been damaged and is no longer like insurable, so it's not worth anything anymore. So it's like these really famous artists have painted the stuff, but they're like water damaged or like ripped a bit or something, and he then creates a like gallery of like damaged art, which I find really interesting.
I think it's so sad that because art is, I mean, already it's like you don't know what's good, what's not good. It's kind of critics judge it and things like that, but it's like. It's just a little bit of water damage, if you know what I mean, to destroy that.
I know.
I suppose that goes for anything, really. It's like just a little bit of something.
I know, but like maybe that affects how famous works get. Like if that happened to say like Starry Night.
Yeah.
And would it be what it is now?
No. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's stuff.
No.
Then in October she went back to New York on her own, and she caused quite a spectacle with like how she presented herself and how she dressed. She received, some reviews, not all of them good. Some of them good, not all of them. Some called them just little Frida's paintings, and called her an unsentimental child.
Oh,
I know, harsh words. She painted very little at this time, but she said she enjoyed the city.
Oh, it also
in
what I'm looking at. She's in an exhibition, which I don't know if I missed something. It's just an exhibition that was attended by Georgia O'Keeffe. I like her.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, we can do an episode.
Okay. In 1939, she moved to Paris. She had I think she'd met somebody who'd promised that she'd be able to exhibit her work in Paris.
André Breton.
Yes.
Which is the founder of the Surrealist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, him. But when she got to Paris, the gallery had closed. And so she wasn't actually able to do it. So she kind of, not gone on a wasted trip, but gone on a little bit of a wasted trip. But there were other galleries that were willing to show her artwork. Not all of it though, because they said that a lot of her artwork was inappropriate. And she also wasn't happy because they put her art next to Bravo.
Oh, I don't know much about that.
And she didn't like his work. She said it was rubbish, basically. Like actual physical, like.
Oh.
So I think he was a sculptor.
Oh, let me Google.
Mm-hmm.
How do you spell it? A-R-A-B.
Bravo.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Unless I've miscopied it.
Yeah, it's just
Bizarre and abstract.
a little bit. And some of it's just random pictures of people.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're all just like paper bags.
Yeah, I understand why she wasn't
of...
happy then about her artwork being like next to his.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a Frida Kahlo painting?
Not like in person.
Me neither. I've seen a Diego Rivera.
Have you?
Yeah, it's one in the Leeds Art Gallery.
I've never been to the art gallery.
No. But I was kind of disappointed.
Oh, okay.
Because it was just all dark, very dark colours.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted it to be better. But...
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
But I'm guessing because it's not a major gallery, they don't get
major
paintings. So
they did have what was it, like last year? I think in the summer at the V&A they had the
Frida Kahlo
exhibition.
Yeah, I really wanted to go and I couldn't make it.
I tried to convince someone to be like, Mom, let me go down to London and just see. And she was like, no. I'm like, okay.
I went to London for a Botticelli exhibition once. That was fun. It was like Botticelli reimagined. It was very good. Yeah.
She didn't actually make a lot from that exhibition. Mainly because like the looming war, no one was really like wanted to buy
fair enough.
art. And so because she didn't do very well, she cancelled her exhibition in London. The Louvre did buy her painting The Frame, and it was it made her the first Mexican artist to be featured in the Louvre.
Oh wow.
I know.
I was thinking about her paintings being inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because it showed... Because is she naked in some?
I think so, yeah.
Because if that's the inappropriate bit...
Or some of them were quite...
graphic.
Gory?
Yeah.
Then that might have been...
Could have been. Yeah, I don't want to make a big statement. It's not.
Yeah. Just inappropriate is what it said.
Okay.
She did receive a lot of praise though from Picasso and Miro.
Ooh. How's it spelled?
Miro.
No,
okay.
Don't know.
And was asked to design a dress in Vogue Paris.
Ooh.
I know. But overall she didn't like Parisians. Of course. She went back to New York and broke up with Murray because I think he'd been having another affair with somebody else as well, and he decided to marry that person. So Kahlo went back to Mexico and divorced Rivera. He asked her to divorce her, but I think like they were both like, okay, fair enough.
Was this 39?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was. They were friendly about it though, and she even continued to manage his finances. So I think that's when like they would have had the separation because they weren't together anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they still lived in the same house, or like it was a massive house. So I think this, yeah.
Was that the one with the bridge?
The bridge, yeah, I think so.
Because it was kind of like the two separate houses, but it just conjoined with this bridge.
Which makes sense.
Quite nice.
Yeah.
But then also like, but he could just wander over, or she could just wander over and see stuff she doesn't want to see.
And then not long after, she did move back home
mm-hmm.
in 1940 and painted some of her most famous pieces during the time, which so she painted the two Fridas. Self-portrait with cropped hair, the wounded table, the self-portrait with a thorn necklace and hummingbird. She painted all those. And then Trotsky was killed.
Oh no.
Spoiler.
Oh.
And Kahlo was actually arrested for it.
Because
she knew the person who'd done it. Oh. So she was arrested for like conspiring with that person. Oh. So she and her sister were in prison for like 2 days.
Wow.
I know. And then she moved to San Fran again for medical treatment.
Okay.
Rivera was also in San Francisco because he'd fled Mexico City following Trotsky's murder. And then whilst there, she and Rivera reconciled and they remarried in 1940. So how long does that say that they were then separate? Is that like 8 years?
1 year. 89? Oh no, 39?
Not married for.
Oh.
So if they... Oh, wait, yeah, no.
Yeah, because
They divorced
in 39 and got married again.
Okay, fair enough. Can you imagine like having to keep track of that, just being like, what? Wait, what? Did we miss anything? They returned to Mexico soon after their wedding, and their union was less turbulent than before.
That's good.
Yeah, I think because so they were both kind of living independently. So
Okay.
they lived together but were independent.
Yeah, it's probably.
And her childhood home, like Hassall, was like their primary place of residence. Though Rivera also like stayed in the other house to use it as a studio and things. And they both continued to have their like extramarital affairs. I feel like I haven't said anything about like the fact she like slept with women, but it's like it wasn't really like a thing, if you know what I mean. It just was. I think it happened, and they were both like. I think the fact she was having affairs with anybody was the thing, rather than about who it was with. So not really touched upon.
This is quite sad. Maybe it's because she didn't have long-term relationships with them.
Yes, I think she just like slept with them. I don't think it was like emotionally.
Still.
Yeah. She received Despite medical treatment that she had received in San Francisco, her health problems continued through the 40s. She because of spinal problems, she had to wear 28 separate supportive corsets.
Oh wow!
I know, made out of, I think it said, random like plaster and metal, and it did not sound nice. She experienced pain in her legs, an infection in her hand, and was also being treated for syphilis. And then her father died in 1941, and that like plunged her into a depression. And then because she was ill, she basically just became confined to her house.
Yeah.
So her artwork gained mass appreciation over Mexico, and she became one of the founding members of Seminario de Cultura Mexico. Okay. There's something of Mexican culture, but I cannot work out what the first word would be. A group of 20, which was a group of 25 artists, who commissioned by the Ministry of Public Education in 1942 to spread public knowledge of Mexican culture. It's like a group of people who were trying to spread knowledge. She accepted a teaching position in 1943, so 4 of her students referred to themselves as Los Fridos, and Frida secured 3 murals for her and her students to do in 1944 and 1945. This is kind of like notes I've just got now that I feel like reading off. She struggled to make a living from her art until the mid-1940s, but she refused to like change her style or do what the clients were asking her to do, which I think is one of the reasons why she didn't manage to live off it until quite late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean is bad business. But like I know artistic integrity and stuff like that.
I mean, it makes sense if someone's like, "Oh, I need to paint this," and you're like, "But I'm an artist. I have to paint what I like." She received. She received 2 commissions from the Mexican government. She didn't complete the first one because she didn't like the subject. And the second was rejected by the commissioning body. But she had regular private clients, so like she had money coming in, I suppose. Her financial situation improved when she received 5,000 peso national prize for her painting Moses. She gained more recognition in her home country, and her health continued to decline. To the point where I think this is somewhere in the late 1940s, she like could no longer sit or stand for a long time.
Is that when she was confined to a bed?
Yeah. She had an operation to try and help her back, but it didn't work. I and this is to get to the point where it's mainly just copy and paste. So she spent most of 1950 in a hospital in Mexico City, but that also didn't work out very well, and she ended up having an infection and a lot of like several follow-up surgeries from this. And then after being discharged, she just stayed at home and used a wheelchair to get around. And then in the final years of her life, she dedicated the game to the political causes, what she could, if what her health allowed her to. So she rejoined the Mexican Communist Party, campaigned for peace, and she painted a lot of still lifes featuring fruit and flowers and political symbols in them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I said something that I wanted to tell you. In 1953, her right leg had to be amputated.
Oh wow!
And like her dependency upon painkillers escalated. Rivera also then had another affair, and so she attempted suicide.
Oh, wow.
And then in her last days, she was bedridden. Though she did make a public appearance in 1954 in a demonstration against the CIA invasion of Guatemala. I think that was like the last time she was then seen in public.
Oh.
And then in 1954, she died in her sleep. Well, she died in her sleep, and the official cause was a pulmonary embolism. No autopsy was performed, and many people think it was an overdose because at the time she had been writing a lot about her death. And things like that, and so the painkillers were counted and monitored and things like that, and she took an overdose that it wouldn't have been an accident. So so then so that was July the 13th in early hours of the morning, and in the evening, her body was taken to Placio de Bella's arts. Where it lay under a communist flag, and the following day, she had an informal funeral that was attended by friends and family, and hundreds of admirers stood outside.
Oh.
Yeah. In accordance to her wishes, she was cremated, and her ashes are displayed in a pre-Columbian urn at La Casa Azul, which is her family home, which is where it opened as a museum in 1958.
I want to go. Let's go.
Honestly, it looks amazing, and that is the official Frida Kahlo Museum, because that's where she was born and
is it
died.
In New Mexico? Not New Mexico.
Mexico
City.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah.
New Mexico's in America. In Mexico City. So that's kind of it's a lot about what she used a lot in her work. So there was a lot about American folk art and things like that, which we used, and then she used a lot of the image of this figure called, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, I think it's La Imora? No. I'm going to look it up. It's also a famous song in in Mexico that I have a story about.
Ooh.
Which I will play in a second. I can't find it. But basically, it's a famous song, and in the Frida film, there's a scene where a woman is singing this song, and it's quite passionate, and Frida's imagining her artwork and things like that. So the woman, that's a very, very famous song about a figure in Mexican folklore that Frida used to use a lot in her artwork, and then the woman who's singing it was actually somebody that Frida had an affair with in the film.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And that's basically most about it. She's regarded as one of the most significant artists of the 20th century by the Tate Modern, one of the most important figures of the 20s. Yeah, it's basically the same thing again. By Elizabeth Bakewell. Loads. So there's her home has been turned into a museum, and it's one of the most popular museums in Mexico City, where it has 25,000 visitors monthly.
Wow.
The city also has a park dedicated to her and features a statue of her. And in the United States, she was the first Hispanic woman to be honoured on a postage stamp in 2001. And she was included in the Legacy Walk, an outdoor public display in Chicago that celebrates the LGBT history of people.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So that's that. I feel like a lot of that was kind of, because a lot of it's still in note form, because I haven't gone through it all. Oh, and then it mentions obviously about the film Frida that was released, which won 6 Academy Award nominations and won for Best Makeup and Original Score. And then of course she was featured in one of my favourite films, Coco, in 2017.
Oh yeah, she was.
When I saw, because I went to go watch it with my sister, and I don't think my sister kind of knew who she was at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was there, I was like, oh, that's really Kahlo. And then it was, and I was watching my sister, I was like, yep. So, yeah. So that's Frida Kahlo. Summed up. There's a lot more, obviously, about what she did and who she was and things, but that's kind of the big...
Phil, you covered a lot of them.
Thank you. I feel like that was a long time, but...
I mean, it was, I think, a long episode, but...
Yeah, how long is it at the moment? What's that
We're
time?
on a 120.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Listening.
Thank you for listening. And I don't know, have we got a theme for next time?
Ooh, we haven't decided.
We haven't decided, but we'll be deciding that then.
Yes.
I'm sure.
And email us if you want.
Email us on the email, which is hermomentinhistory@gmail.com.
Yep.
Or find us on
Instagram,
which is also Her Moment in History.
Yep.
Okay.
And you'll find a lovely picture of a skeleton.
A skeleton, which has been watching us this entire episode in the corner.
Yes.
I put it in a very sassy
We
pose.
should have called her Frida.
We should have called her Frida.
We didn't know then.
You didn't know that's what I'd be doing. Yeah. I put her in a very sassy pose with her hands on her hips, so and she's been watching me for us.
Yep.
So.
Oh.
Anyway, so yes, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.